All right. Welcome to your personalized deep dive. You sent over Fight for Your Family.
Yeah.
And I have to say, this devotional is pretty fascinating. It's like a mix of spiritual guidance and relationship advice, specifically on loving one's wife.
Yeah, it's interesting how it kind of blends those two together.
Right. And it starts by defining all these different types of love. Eros, storge, philia, agape. What stood out to you about how it approaches these definitions, especially in the context of marriage?
Well, it's interesting because it really highlights agape, that selfless love,
Right.
as the ideal for marriage. And it's not just about romance or even familial affection,
Right.
but it's a deeper commitment to your spouse's well-being. And the devotional doesn't just leave it at that as a concept.
Right.
It provides some concrete examples.
Like choosing not to seek revenge.
Right.
Or praying for your spouse, even when they're not easy to love. It takes those abstract ideas and grounds them in everyday actions.
Do you think those examples would resonate with the people reading this devotional? I think so. They're very practical applications of agape, which could be challenging, but ultimately rewarding. Forgiving someone who's hurt you, praying for them when you're angry. Those are actions that require real commitment and faith.
And that leads perfectly into the devotional's core message.
Yeah.
Loving your wife as Christ loved the church.
Right.
It's a powerful analogy, but it also comes with a lot of baggage and different interpretations.
Absolutely.
How do you think this document navigates that?
Well, the devotional focuses on 5 specific ways that Christ showed his love. Headship, self-sacrifice, desire for holiness cleansing with the word and presentation of the church as beautiful and attractive.
I think that headship aspect is particularly interesting because it could be interpreted in a variety of ways, some more controversial than others.
Yeah.
What did you make of the way the devotional presents it?
Well, it seems to be emphasizing leadership and responsibility rather than control.
Oh, yeah.
And that ties back to the concept of agape, leading by serving, putting your wife's needs before your own, sacrificing for her well-being.
That's a very nuanced interpretation, and it definitely fits with the overall message of selfless love. But it also raises the question of how different couples, even within the same faith, might interpret and apply these principles in their own lives.
Exactly. It's a reminder that faith and relationships are deeply personal, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Speaking of navigating challenges, the devotional then shifts to a section on key prayers.
Right.
And these are specifically geared toward family protection and well-being. What struck you about this section?
The emphasis on seeking divine intervention and protection is quite powerful. You see prayers for protection against harm, breaking free from negative spiritual influences.
Yeah.
It paints a picture of a world where family life isn't just about managing daily routines, but also about engaging in spiritual warfare.
It's almost as if the family is seen as a unit under attack.
Yes.
And these prayers are a way to call in reinforcements, so to speak.
Yes, and that ties back to the idea of fight for your family that we see in the title.
Right.
It's not just about passively accepting challenges, but actively seeking spiritual strength to overcome them.
And it's interesting how specific those prayers are, like the one against using any element of creation for harm.
Right. It suggests a deep awareness of potential threats, both physical and spiritual, and a belief that prayer can offer real protection.
Now, behind this message is Pastor Ghislain, also known as Pastor Guy. The devotional gives us a glimpse into his life, husband, father pastor, and a multi-talented individual with a diverse range of skills.
Yeah, it's almost as if he embodies this idea of fighting for your family in his own life. He's not just preaching a message, he's living it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And leading L'Église en Mission in Austin, Minnesota, a French-speaking Christian community.
Right.
This devotional clearly fits into a larger context of ministry and outreach.
Yes. It's part of a broader effort to share a particular worldview and a way of life. It's not just a standalone text. It's connected to a community of faith and practice.
And I think it's something really important for us to consider
Yeah.
as we continue to dive deeper into this material.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really is fascinating to see how it combines, like practical steps with a very strong spiritual foundation.
Right. It's not just about like improving your marriage.
Right.
It's about strengthening your faith and relying on God for guidance.
Exactly. And that brings us back to that idea, of fighting for your family on both like earthly and spiritual battlefields.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that challenges exist in both realms and using both practical wisdom and spiritual resources to overcome those challenges.
And we see that reflected throughout the whole devotional.
Right.
From the very specific advice about practicing that agape love
Yeah.
to those really powerful prayers for protection and guidance.
It's a very holistic approach to family life, integrating faith into every aspect. And I think it offers valuable insights into the worldview and practices of this particular Christian community, even for those who may not share their beliefs.
Yeah, it's like a window into a different way of like experiencing and navigating relationships and challenges, and even just the world around them.
Exactly. It highlights how faith can be such a powerful force in shaping, people's values, choices, and responses to the complexities of life.
So if we're thinking back on everything that we've discussed so far, what would you say are the key takeaways from this deep dive into fight for your family?
Well, I think we've uncovered a really unique blend of faith-based relationship advice. We explored those different forms of love. We delved into how the devotional interprets Christ-like love. And we looked at those really powerful prayers for family well-being.
We also got a glimpse into the author's personal life.
Yeah.
And how his experiences, inform the message that he's sharing. And we also touched on those areas where different perspectives might exist, particularly when it comes to interpreting, biblical concepts and applying them to modern life.
Right. And I think for our listeners out there, a key question to consider is this. How might the principles that are outlined in this devotional, even if they don't perfectly align with your own personal beliefs, offer some insights into the values and practices of this specific Christian community?
Yeah, it's a good reminder that even when we encounter ideas that might be different from our own, there's always something to learn from them.
Always.
And a chance to broaden our understanding.
Absolutely. And remember, this deep dive is just a starting point. If you're curious to explore further, there are a wealth of resources available to learn more about different approaches to faith relationships and the challenges of family life.
It's a fascinating and ever-evolving landscape.
It is.
And this devotional provides a unique entry point for those who want to understand, a particular perspective within that landscape.
Exactly. It encourages us to think critically about how faith shapes our lives and our relationships and to appreciate the diversity of beliefs and practices that exist within different communities.
Well said. And that's what the deep dive is all about.
Yes.
Taking that plunge into unfamiliar territory.
Right.
And coming up with a treasure trove of insights.
Exactly. And in this case, the treasure is a deeper understanding of how faith can inform and influence approaches to love, marriage, and the challenges of family life. It's been a really thought-provoking exploration,
It has. And it reminds us that even within Christianity,
Right.
there are so many different
Yeah.
beliefs and practices.
A wide spectrum, yeah. This devotional offers a glimpse into one particular expression of faith and how it intersects with family life.
Right. And even if it doesn't perfectly align with everyone's, personal beliefs, I think there's value in just understanding how other people approach these big questions
Oh, absolutely.
of love and marriage and faith.
It's a reminder that different communities have different ways of, making sense of the world and navigating its complexities.
Yeah.
And that's what makes exploring these diverse perspectives so enriching.
Yeah. It really broadens our understanding
For sure.
and challenges us to think critically about our own beliefs and assumptions.
Exactly. It invites us to, engage in respectful dialogue and appreciate the richness of human experience, even when we encounter viewpoints that are different from our own.
So to wrap things up, if someone listening to this deep dive wanted to explore this topic further, where would you suggest they go from here?
That's a great question. I think a good next step would be to delve deeper into the specific biblical passages that are referenced in the devotional, like Ephesians 5.
Okay.
Seeing how those verses are interpreted and applied in different contexts can offer a broader understanding of the nuances involved.
That's a great suggestion. And I'd also encourage listeners to seek out resources from a variety of different perspectives within Christianity.
Right.
Reading theological works, listening to sermons, or even just engaging in conversations with people from different denominations can provide a more well-rounded view
Absolutely.
of the various approaches to faith and family.
I couldn't agree more. It's all about continuing that journey of exploration and discovery.
Well said. And that's exactly what we're all about here on The Deep Dive.
Yep.
Diving deep, exploring new ideas,
Right.
and coming up with those insights that enrich our understanding of the world around us.
And ourselves. Because
Yeah.
ultimately, exploring these different perspectives can also help us to better understand our own beliefs and values.
Absolutely. So until next time, keep diving deep and keep those questions coming.
Yeah, keep them coming.